Okay, so I'll go ahead and get us started to be respectful of everybody's time. So welcome again to the 2021 Vanderbilt Virtual VSSA. I am not Beth Bowman. Beth Bowman is the VSSA director. I am her twin sister, Becky Adams. I'm an assistant professor at a school down the road from Vanderbilt at Belmont University. And since I'm her identical twin, she asked me to step in for her since we kind of look and sound the same. But if I mess up, you guys can all be forgiving of me because I'm a little nervous. Okay, but this week, it's not about me. It's about our wonderful early career graduate students who've joined us to tell us a bit about the choices they made to bring them to this point and highlight their path along their experience along this path. Our first speaker we have today is Zach Sanchez, and I'm going to go ahead and give it away to Zach. So thank you so much for joining us, Zach.
Awesome. I can share my screen real quick. Let me find this. Go. Oh, that's cool. Everybody see this is the screen? Good, awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Becky said, my name is Zachary Sanchez. I am a rising second year here at Vanderbilt. Purpose of today is kind of take you through my research journey so far, and focus a little bit on the fact that this was not always what I thought I was going to end up doing. Definitely not. And kind of talk a bit about that and like how I came to this decision to pursue being a STEM researcher. Also, I'll go ahead and let y'all know the video is not buffering. That is just my normal stutter, so bear with me with that. And then we'll get through this. Also, bear with some of the cringier photos I have on my slides. I just wanted to show you that I was at your point and really passionate about what I wanted to do, no change. So just please bear with me on that. But yeah, as the slides shows, I was born and raised in Georgia. I graduated from UGA in 2019, studying entomology and cellular biology. And then I took a little gap year where I was a research tech doing some population genetics. And I started my PhD this past fall. So growing up, you see, I was often referred to as like nature boy, weirdo, granola. A teacher of mine in high school called me the pill bug whisperer. So if that's any inclination, I was always in nature. I was always turning up logs, turning up stones, trying to explore the world around me. And this was mainly because my parents and my teachers always kind of emphasized this idea that anyone at any age can be a scientist as long as you are thinking about what you are sensing, whether this be looking at things, hearing things, feeling things, anything like that, just making observations about the world around you. And it was because of this, like I started getting enveloped in the world of science. Like I loved animals, I loved insects. So it's like, all right, I want to pursue this more. So because of people like Steve Irwin, I was like, all right, I want to be a veterinarian. That's why I went to Georgia in the first place, and like go there and I can move on to vet school. It'll be the perfect lineup. So while in undergrad, yeah, these are the cringy photos. I am really so sorry. While in undergrad, I started with the ambition of being a veterinarian. I worked at an animal hospital for about 2 years. By the end of my first year of undergrad, I was like, nah, this isn't for me. I saw the small animal hospital world, and just there wasn't enough going on. There's not enough there to keep my interest. It was fun like saving animals and treating them, but just it didn't leave me happy every the day or this feeling of accomplishment. So I decided, let me switch something that has um, a lot more science involved and the possibility to do really specialized things and like really get at my brain. So I went really far deep into the med school pursuit. I shadowed in cardiothoracic surgery, which is where this picture's from. Shadowed pediatric cardiology. I took all of the med school requirements. I even took the MCAT. And it wasn't until after I'd taken the test and before I even got back my statistics scores, I was just reflecting. I'm like, this is still not what I wanted to do. Like, it's really cool and I love all the people I've worked with, but still there was just like something missing. Thankfully, like along this time, I had taken up research because I thought like, oh, this would make my med school application look pretty good. I know a lot of people have had this thoughts, but I also just wanted to do something cool. I wanted to be on like that edge of the discovery type of thing. So I was a researcher for part of undergrad, and I had joined my bio 2 professor's lab with the idea of like, oh, bugs? Nobody really says that. I don't know anybody who does that. So I hopped in. She graciously accepted me, and I instantly, not disappointed her, but surprised her by the fact that I can't even pipette. But eventually, I learned. So on the picture on the left, that is milkweed bug sperm. My very first project was to count bug sperm and study the life history effects of the diet on male milkweed bugs. So really, how do I put it? A lot of scut work. I don't imagine a lot of people having a fun time counting sperm, but I rather enjoyed it, honestly. It was cool being able to stain these cells and then look at them under a fluorescent microscope, like really get into this science and see what a lot of people don't have the opportunity to see. And it was during this research I started progressing more and more and getting deeper into more complex projects. Eventually, by the time I finished up undergrad, I had a couple of papers just because it was me and the PPPI doing these projects. And I didn't realize till that summer before senior year that research was the thing that I was enjoying more than anything during undergrad. So at the end of this senior year, I was like, all right, take a good gap year, do some more research. And I want to pursue this as hard as possible. The goal at the time was to be a medical entomologist, so studying vector-borne diseases and kind of that host pathogen interface. Oddly enough, once I got here, it happened again of the, is this really what I want to be doing? So thankfully, Vanderbilt has the IGP program, so you can go to a bunch of the departments and sample a bunch of labs. I had rotated through 3 different insect-based labs, one working with honeybees, another with flower beetles, and then ultimately one that worked with mosquitoes. By the end of the rotation, I had talked to the PPPI and was telling him, yeah, I want to join your lab. Like, the stuff you do is really cool. He was essentially studying the hearts of mosquitoes, which is like, that's awesome. That would be really cool to pursue. So I essentially had confirmed with him, I'm going to join your lab. I still had to do another rotation. And I was going through it. I was like, I really want to rotate with. I found this guy, Dr. Tiska. He does a lot of really cool microscopy on gut epithelium. So I talked to him, got all this set up, and right as the confirmation of the rotation, the decisions was happening, found out I was not rotating with him. And instead, I got placed in a lab with a professor that I had never talked to, and I just knew him from a course he taught during this semester. So I was panicking. It's like, oh, okay, I'm about to do research on something I have at the time not really any interest in, nor really any background in. He still did microscopy, so not like, all right, I'll still get kind of the training I wanted and just lean into it and see what I can do. And surprisingly, again, I realized that there was a portion of science I didn't realize I loved so much. So in my past labs, the parts of the science I enjoyed the most was microscopy. Like you saw the past images, starting with this sperm cell, and then the second one was a picture of an ovarium. That was some of the most fun I had in research. And then being in a microscopy heavy lab with Dr. Burnett, I realized, oh my God, the techniques I can use to just visualize a single cell, it's insane. So this picture on the right is a cardiomyocyte. It was the very first cell that I had taken an image of in the lab. It's very tiny. It's cute. It's adorable. Not a great cell compared to how much better I could gotten, but it was just a nice little starting point. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can keep doing this. And so I started in a little lab trying to develop a technique known as expansion microscopy. That was essentially the thing I was going to start and finish in the little lab, and then go back onto mosquitoes. But starting with the project, designing a technique nobody in the lab had accomplished yet, something that hasn't been done before in these types of cells, it got me so involved in this science and so in love with the process of developing a protocol, answering a cool question you had, thinking about all the observations, everything that you're seeing, and that the end result after several failures, and seeing these beautiful images that you create, it just made everything worth it. And the mosquito lab, I had fun doing it. Like it wasn't bad at all, but there wasn't this amount of fulfillment that was equal to what I was getting in the Burnett lab. And so I just carried that throughout the entire rotation, with this like constant conflict. Like, what should I do? Should I continue being this weird bug boy, or should I hop ships and start studying heart cells and going on that track? And I talked with, when I say everybody, I mean literally everyone. I was talking with Beth Bowman. I was talking with my old PPPIs. I was talking with grad students, just constantly trying to figure out like, what the heck am I doing? I thought I had everything planned out. I was going to start working on kissing bugs after I finished my PhD. That was the goal. I want to study Chagas. But now I'm here. What do I do? But eventually, like, I just had a lot of reflection and realized I love the intersection of art and science too much to give it up. I want to continue down this, and I want to be able to do things that not everyone has the capability of doing. And like this is the epitome of me. So now I am on the road to get my degree. It's hard trying to adapt to a new field that I have very little experience with, but every paper I read, whether it's boring because it was written 30 years ago or very current with a bunch of terms I've never heard of, I'm still just like, oh my God, that's really cool. Maybe I can do this. Like, well, what's next? Can I answer this with my system? And it's that constant thought process that makes me realize that I've really chosen the right path for now. Is this subject to change? Very likely. Currently, the goal is to be a research professor, but I have been entertaining thoughts of so many other paths, whether it be going into science policy and work with blah blah blah, being an industry, being like a microscopist or anything like that. It's realizing that no matter what I do, I can change my path and still be successful. I just have to have fun along the way, and that's what's carrying me this far. And if I keep that mindset, I know I'm going to end up being all right. Like I said, it's worked this far. I don't see it failing anytime, and that's what's going to really carry me through the low moments. Because fortunately, they are inevitable. But I've got these awesome images to look back on and be like, I'm in the right place. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them, and we can start with that.
Great, thank you so much, Zach. So I want to open it up. You're welcome to unmute yourself. If you don't want to ask the question yourself, you can chat the question, and either Zach will look for it or I'll ask him for you. So feel free to ask any questions about how Zach has found his path and is doing along his path so far. And I thought I'd get it started because that was such a great story about switching. Elena, we'll ask yours in just a second, if that's okay. I just wanted to ask, when you kind of dedicate yourself to a specific career path and then switch, like how have you found the bravery to do that? I feel like it might look like you're, changing your mind a lot, but it's actually a really brave thing to decide to pursue something different. Tell me about that experience.
The main way I've been able to do like so many switches is really the support network I've kind of built up over the years. It's my friends, it's my mentors, it's the people I surround myself with that kind of either give me the push to change trajectory because they know me better, or it's them being there for me during the stressful moments of making a life decision. Like I spent several nights with friends up until like 2, 3 a.m. just talking about what is it that I want to do with my life, and we all go through it and help each other. And I'm still doing it to this day. So that's the way I have bravery, because I have the confidence my friends put in me.
Great, awesome. And do you want to check the chat, or do you want me to read you the questions that are being asked?
I'll pull up the chat real quick. I'll stop sharing.
Good.
You'd think I'd be good at Zoom by now, but
I'm happy to read out the questions. No problem.
Go for it.
Okay, great. So Elena asked, how did you decide to change the research lab if you were enjoying the first one?
So the way I decided to change was essentially I talked to the PI, both PIs, both labs. I essentially asked them every question I possibly could. I'm like, how well can you set me up for my future goals? What are your mentorship styles? What will you allow me to do in lab? How can I use my creativity? Like, are there limits or anything like that? And I just found like the lab that checked most of the boxes is the one I wanted to do, even though it wasn't necessarily my first choice to start with.
Right. Great. Jillian asked, was there a specific event that caused you to switch from being a pre-med to a research path, or was it more an overall feeling?
It was more of an overall feeling. And with that, so I didn't mention this in the grand scheme of things, but the reason why I thought med school was gonna be the right thing for me at first was that I was driving home one day and a car crash happened in front of me. I had pulled over into the Church's Chicken parking lot, hopped out of my car, grabbed the first aid kit, and went to go help on scene. Talked with the lady who was injured, had to use really, really bad broken Spanish, but I helped her until paramedics arrived. I thought, like, okay, if I can do this, med school's right. But then I realized later on, I didn't do that because necessarily I want to be a medical professional. I did that because I just like helping people. And so I fulfilled that and did a different way by being a heavy volunteer in Red Cross. And then doing research again at the same time got me the science fix that I really wanted.
Awesome. Elizabeth says, do you recommend taking a gap year between undergrad and grad school?
So gap years. There is absolutely nothing wrong with taking a gap year, and there's also absolutely nothing wrong with not taking a gap year. It's all dependent on how much experience you want with the potential career path. Like I have friends who didn't do a lot of research in undergrad, and they wanted to take the gap year to essentially get their feet wet in the field and get immersed and realize, is this something I want to go all in for or not? Some people it works out, some people that doesn't. Like there's so many opportunities during, or like when you graduate, so you can explore other things, and it's very worth it. But if you're determined and you have all the experience you will want leading up to do it, go for it. You can be successful either way. All right, and then Braden has a question. Whenever you reference that you love art and science, how did you find a way to fulfill your love for both? So those images I was showing you towards the end of my presentation, those were all cells that I had taken images of by myself. A big hobby of mine is photography. So I love being able to capture things that not everybody has a chance to see, and then turning them to stunning, or this is humble bragging this, but I would attempt to turn them into stunning works of art, and be able to share that with people. That's why I love art, and I figured that doing my microscopy was my best chance at being able to pursue that passion.
I have one more comment, if that's okay too.
Go for it.
What I love about your story is that it highlights really that even though you feel like you might have a good appreciation of the options in front of you, your experiences are always a little more myopic and a little more tunnel vision than you think they are. And that just like the more diversity you experience, the more you're exposed to different potential paths. And we really don't know exactly what your passion is going to be until you start experiencing things that are different from what you might have thought would be something you'd be interested in. So yeah. I really like that. Okay, one more question. Elena, do you have to change the skill set you were using to do microscopy research? How was that change for you?
Really good question. Still working on that. I did have to change my skill set in terms of how I do my research. So my previous labs were very genetics heavy. Like that was the focus of the questions. So I was able to do all the PCRs possible to get answers, whether it be like RT-qPCR or just basics of stuff. Prior to the Burnett lab, I had never once touched cells. Like cultures itself. So I'm working with stem cell based cardiomyocytes right now. I've literally never even been in a clean room. To give good context, I used to wear just like shorts and tivas because nobody really cared in the lab of contaminating cells. Now I have to dress a little bit better. So I'm still adapting to cellular biology research, even though I studied it. It's a different skill set, but I have, again, grad students in my lab to teach me. So it's going. I get to do my first cell knockout this week, and it's a constant learning process, but I love every minute of it.
I have to say too, I was very intimidated by the things Dylan does. It's like super high tech microscopy, and sorry to intrude on your story,
Good.
but I found it intimidating to do something like super high tech, and for you to like be brave enough to say like, well, this isn't exactly the lab I wanted to rotate in, but okay, we'll see how it goes. That's really, really brave of you. And if you just kind of have to be comfortable with trying things. And as you said, there are people there to help you learn those skills. So yeah, cool.
Awesome.
All right. Any other last minute questions for Zach here? Right. We're only a couple minutes ahead of schedule. Zach, thank you so much for your story. That was really
No
great.
problem.
Awesome.
Check out our website to find recordings of all of our videos. We'll get them posted about a week after each of the presentations. We can't wait to see you!